Hey everyone, this is Kat with Wandering Soup, and today I'm coming to you with some tips, tricks, and things of that nature. But I'm also coming to you about a topic that's very important to me and may be important to you or a loved one. And that is traveling while fat in Southeast Asia. Because I had to specify that in Southeast Asia because it might be different in other parts of the world. But in particular, we're going to focus on Southeast Asia because that's where I'm at. And that's where I've spent most of my traveling in the last year or so. So I wanted to break it down into like 4 different subcategories so that it'll be a little bit more helpful in the way you approach, hopefully, your traveling in the future and traveling in general, even within the States, if it applies. So what I'd like to start out with is the elephant in the room, and that's flying. Flying while fat. Woo! That's enough to make anyone stressed, right? You got to think about so many things. You don't want anybody around you to be uncomfortable. You don't want the stairs when you enter the plane, and all these things, right, that just make traveling a headache, and they're very, very stressful. So what I've done is I've set myself up for success. As soon as I book my flight, I've already got my mindset. I'm pushing toward making this the best flight that I can. So when I reserve my flight, I make sure that I get an aisle seat. That gives me a little bit more room to stretch my legs out. It's easier for me to get up and get out. If I need to go to the bathroom, if I need to walk them down the aisles without having to climb over anybody, right? You don't want to be squished in the middle. You don't want to be squished against the windowsill, unless you like windows. Don't get me wrong, some people like the window seats. But you definitely want to be able to access or have access to getting up and releasing yourself from the seat without, again, encumbering anyone else. So that's the first thing I do. When I walk on the plane, when they're greeting me and saying, welcome aboard, I always say, thank you. Can I have a seatbelt extender? Before I even sit down. I may not need it, but I want it. And I don't want it afterwards. I don't want to get there, get in the seat, get everything set up, and realize, hey, this will not fit around my middle. And that hasn't happened every flight. A lot of flights, everything's fine, but I just like to be proactive, right? They have them, they're free. You can also order yourself one and carry it with you for every flight that you go on. The only problem with that is that they're all not created equal, meaning they're not going to work on every airline. Who knew that there's different seat buckles out there? Either way, they have them available for you. If you address it as soon as you get on board, you don't have to address it at your seat. You don't have to call attention to yourself. They will notate it and bring it to you. And if you haven't received it before you take off, of course, remind them gently, bring me my seatbelt extender so that I can fly comfortably for the next hour, 2 hours, 12 hours, whatever you need. They're there for you. Just use the services. So those are my flying tips. Again, I've got the aisle seat. I can stretch my legs. I can easily get up and walk around. And I have a seatbelt extender. Bathrooms on the flight. If this is a short flight, I rarely go. It's just not worth it. If it's a long haul flight, I gotta go, obviously. So I always carry some wet wipes with me that I can wipe down everything in the bathroom that I'm going to come in contact with. Possibly. Occasionally, the bathrooms are decent size. That's not always, but occasionally. JetBlue in particular, really good bathrooms. And TAP, Portugal, really good bathrooms. Everyone else has been hit and miss. But anyway, I go in there, I pre-wipe everything down as I'm walking in the door, which you should do anyway because those bathrooms are nasty. And then I just wipe everything down. It's just what I do to keep my body germ-free for the flight. Now, what I also add here is that I have on shoes. You should always go into those bathrooms with shoes on. Not socks, but shoes. There's urine on the floor. Intentional and not intentional. But either way, it's there. So keep yourself germ-free as possible. Wet wipe everything in the bathroom before you get in there and start doing what you got to do. Now, with traveling in Southeast Asia, the seats are small from the get-go. You already know this. They're tiny for even smaller size bodies. And again, that owl seat is really going to help you there. So I just do it. I apply it to every flight that I'm on, whether it's 1 hour or 12 hours, whether it's a commercial, big Delta or Air Asia, budget airline. It just helps me out. Next thing up is I'm in Vietnam. Vietnam is known for its cafes. It's known for its outside dining, coffee shops, and things like that, and they're great. And here's a picture for you. Unfortunately, those chairs are baby sized. And when I say baby sized, like literally, they're the chairs that you would see in a classroom for kindergartens, preschool, maybe first grade. And I don't know how they sit on them. It's not my ministry, but it's great. And they're beautiful. I love the cafe. I love 9, 10 o'clock at night. You can find life and activity and everybody sitting out sipping on coffee, tea, and eating. Because there are a lot of restaurants that you can do that as well. Not for me. I've let that go. I decided, hey, it's cute. I like AC anyway, so I'll just pass the chairs and go inside if they have some regular sized chairs. If not, take a picture, squat down, take a picture, and move on with your day. It also leads into excursions. I approach it with the same attitude, you know. I want to try everything. I want to do everything. It's the point or part of why we moved overseas was to see things that we wouldn't see in America. But, hey, everything ain't for me. And I'm okay with that. I look at the excursions that we're going to do, and I say, you know what? I don't know. I don't know. Let's try and find something else. This way, I don't have to get somewhere and realize this is not going to work for me. And that's it hurts a little bit. Let's be honest, right? So I preempt all that. I look at it. I look at pictures. I'm really a researcher at heart. I love researching everything. And you need to. If you're going to spend money, you should research anything anyway, right? Be a little bit more than you possibly would be if you were at home in your home state, your home country. Just invest a little bit more time and effort into researching wherever you're going and what you're going to be doing. This helps you out. The next thing is beds. And I probably should have put this before restaurants and excursions, but I like to eat, so we'll put that before that. But anyway, beds. First thing I do when I'm on an apartment site or Airbnb site is I'm looking at the beds. I'm looking at the living room, don't get me wrong. Got a video about that, but I am looking at that bed. I need something that when I lay down, I'm not worried that something's gonna happen to the bed. Let's be honest. It's not just my weight, my partner's weight. Right? So we try to aim toward frames that I can see visually in the picture that are concrete, which I really, really love because they're really solid and they're good for my back once you lay that mattress down. And also really solid wooden bed frames. I don't do metal bed frames. I don't do spindly bed frames. I don't do real pretty bed frames. I want to see something that looks like it was built into the ground. And that's what you're looking for. And if they don't have it, move on. Because it's going to be uncomfortable if you get there and you realize the bed just is not going to hold your weight. And it's just what it is, right? So save yourself the disappointment, the stress of trying to find another location, or even sleeping on a couch. You don't want to sleep on the couch here either. These couches aren't that great. That's also an added tip. The couches in America are fantastic. I didn't realize how fantastic they were until I started traveling. These couches just aren't that great here. I haven't had a great couch anywhere. I've had good couches. I've had decent couches. I just haven't had a really great, nice, softly padded couch. So keep those two things in mind. And then the last thing, and this would happen no matter what, honestly, because I'm black and I have long hair, but you add in the fat, it's going to happen. But I negate this as well because I recognize that coming from where I'm from Mississippi, right? I lived in a primarily all black neighborhood. And if someone were to walk into my neighborhood that didn't look like anybody that I knew or didn't look like they belonged in my neighborhood, I would look too. Same thing, right? Added bonuses. They may say something, but I don't know the language. So to me, they're just being polite and smiling. And I smile back. As long as they don't touch me or take too many pictures, I'm having an okay day. And after a while, once you're in your neighborhood, you become the norm. So now when I walk out, people recognize me. It's not an issue. They ignore me like they do everybody else in the neighborhood. So those are the tips and tricks that I have implemented to make life easier for me when traveling while fat in Southeast Asia. So again, this may not apply for everybody, but some of those tips and tricks are going to apply for even you, and if not you, a loved one. So share, subscribe, follow Wandering Soup, Black Lesbian Expats, as we journey through Southeast Asia in COVID times. It's been interesting so far, but yeah, it's been great as well. I'm Kat, it's Wandering Soup. Thank you.